Hey guys, it's your girl Lady Mamacita and welcome back to another YouTube video. So in today's video, I will be talking about my labor and delivery story. I don't know why I'm cheesing so much. Because it's a awesome topic, I think. Well, for me it's like a beautiful story. And so yeah, so if you're interested in watching this video, then please keep on watching. I'm gonna just jump right into it. I'm gonna be sipping on my water. I have water all the time. Okay, so I had my baby girl on August 25th, which was on Friday. It'll be a month since I've had her. And so the time with her since coming home till now has been like exceptional. It hasn't been perfect, and I will discuss more about that as the time progresses, and as you know, like that'll be in another video. So in today's video I will be talking about the start of my labor. So my delivery date was supposed to be August 25th, and so I went to the doctor's the day before, which was August 24th, because I thought that my water broke, but my water didn't break. I actually peed on myself. And so I went to the hospital and thought that like I was about to go into labor. And so then when I got there, they were, you know, like checking me, like touching me and everything, obviously, you know, like in certain places. And so they were like, no, you're not going into labor, but you know, you probably will in a couple of days or whatever. So like, okay, all right, fine. So I went back home, and then the following day at 2 a.m. in the morning, I started having cramps, like really bad cramps. And I'm like, okay, like I didn't think nothing of it. I was just like, whatever, you know, like I'm not tripping, like this is probably regular. And then I went back to sleep, and I got up, and like the pain just didn't leave, like it just stayed there. So it's like, okay, no, something is not right. So then I proceeded to still have pain. So then I think it was like at 4 a.m. I like yelled for my mom. I was like, Mom, like you have to come in here. And so she came in, and I was like, I am not feeling good, like my stomach hurts, I don't know what's wrong. And so she was like, okay. She's like, well, if it keeps hurting, then we'll go into the hospital. She was like, you know, you're starting to have contractions. And we felt as though I was probably gonna, like, they were contractions because I went to the hospital the day before, and they were like messing with me, messing with her. So we felt like as if, you know, by them messing with me the day prior, that probably gave her like, you know, gave my baby like like the rush to come, if that makes sense. So so then so I kept proceeding to wait at home. I was just like walking around, just praying, like, dear God, give me peace, like, you know, just be with me during this time. Like I was just like so nervous. So at that time, when I kept having the pains back to back, like the contractions back to back, I was like, oh, I'm about to go into labor. So we waited here. Like again, I kept waiting because I did not want to go to the hospital and sit there and be in a waiting room forever and let them just put me in a freaking room, because that's what they did to me the day prior. They were just, if you guys hear my baby in the background, she's crying, but she's with her nana, so she's fine. Well, both her nanas actually. And so what was I gonna say? So I didn't want to go to the hospital because I didn't want to be waiting in the freaking room for like 10 hours. I was just like, I'm not doing it. So I proceeded to wait here until I was like, you know, I couldn't take the pain anymore. So at 7 a.m. I finally was like, Mom, I can't take this pain anymore. So I went to the hospital. By the time I got to the hospital, I was already 5 centimeters. And so I'm going to start from like beginning. So literally as I get into the hospital, I was so irritated because I had like signed in on the computer. Mind you, I was the only pregnant one at the time, literally coming into the hospital at that time. So I'm like, what the hell? Like, I was just here yesterday. You guys have my information in there. Like, you guys can't just freaking take me to the back. So now obviously you have to go through protocol. So I signed in, and then after that, the like I don't know what she is, but like the nurse who takes care of your paperwork, like your intake or whatever, she came, she wants me to sign these freaking paperwork. And I'm like the most nicest person. Well, I think I'm pretty nice, but I was just so irritated with this lady. I was like signing the freaking papers. Like I probably signed my damn life away because I don't even know what I was signing, because at the time I was just ready to freaking figure out what was going on. I was just ready to have my baby at the time. And well, yeah, hopefully have her, because I thought I was gonna have her the day before and I didn't. So they took me to the back, and at this time, again, you guys, I'm like just having the freaking contractions, and I'm like, oh my gosh, oh my gosh. So they took me to the back, and then I was, again, got an attitude because the nurse, I'm in a wheelchair. I had gotten a wheelchair from the car into the hospital. So I go into the hospital, and the nurse is like, can you walk to the little room or whatever? And by this time I have attitude, because I'm like, bitch, girl, like I'm in pain. I do not feel like walking to that room. Like you can't wheel me over there. But again, I had to put on my gown of armor of Christ and be like, let me just walk my ass over here. So I walked to the little room, and by the time I got over there, I started throwing up in the trash can. So they immediately rushed over there, and by that time, like, thank God, like, I'm like, I was worried that it was not good that I was throwing up because the baby's heart rate had stopped, but it's like kind of good that I did throw up, because the girl just proceeded to go sit down with whoever, and I don't know what the hell she's gonna do. She's probably gonna take 10 years before she got to me. So I started throwing up, and then they immediately rushed into the room, and mind you, I have on this freaking mask. I'm hot as hell due to COVID. I have to wear a freaking mask, so I'm up to here because they're like starting to like, you know, put the IV in me, and then they tell me, they're like, okay, we have to test you for COVID, because by this time they had let me know I was 5 centimeters. They're like, okay, we have to test you for COVID, you know, to make sure that you don't have it, so you can have one visitor. So I'm like, okay. So they're doing all of this stuff to me, and anyone who has been tested for COVID knows they freaking stick that thing all up your nose. So I'm having that up my nose. I'm having freaking IVs in my arm. Like I was just, mind you, I'm having pain in my stomach. I'm throwing up. I'm freaking hot. One of the nurses that's in there is like, keep on your mask, keep on your mask. I'm like, girl. So my mind is just going 100 miles per hour. Not to mention my baby girl's heartbeat has like slowed down or stopped. Like, yeah, basically like slowed down, because of the fact that like I was throwing up. So she was, you know, more than likely worried or whatever in my stomach. So then my nurse that was going to be in the delivery room with me, she came in, and I'm not knowing who she is. I just see another nurse walk in. So they're like, okay, we're going to go ahead and take you to the back. I'm like, okay. So they take me to the back, and we were still waiting for the baby's like you know, the baby to like, you know, move around and like show us that she was okay. We'll show them that she was okay or whatever. And I kept having, you know, my contractions back to back. And at this point, like, I just want the epidural because I'm ready to push. Like, I'm ready to get my baby out of me because this pain is just ridiculous. So they were like, no, we have to wait. We have to make sure baby's okay. And I'm like, you know, we have to, you know, make sure everything's fine before we can just give you the epidural. So finally, like, I'm just praying. I'm asking God for peace. And then the specialist, I'm not for certain what his title is, but he came in and like he had to do the epidural. I'm gonna backtrack. As I was in triage with the first nurses, they were like telling me, you're doing phenomenal, you're doing so good, you're already 5 centimeters, but you're doing so awesome, like, you know, you're carrying yourself very well, like, I'm so proud of you, da, da, da. I'm like thanking them for their applause, but like none of that recognition goes to me, it goes to God, because he was literally with me through that entire situation. So then I feel like I'm just going on. I need some water really quick. So yeah, so then the young lady was like, okay, my nurse, she was like, okay, you know, the gentleman's gonna come in to do your stuff or whatever. And by this time I was like, before they even came in for the epidural, I'm like telling my mom and I'm like, they're like, you're gonna be okay, girl, you got this, you're doing so good, you know, you're doing awesome, you're doing fine, like, I'm so proud of you. Both the nurse and my mom are like, you know, saying this to me. I'm like, no, I need a freaking epidural right now, I can't take this pain no more, like, get someone in here to do this. So, oh, and they had to, you know, like, obviously, you know, wait for the baby to see if she was fine. So baby ended up being fine. So they brought the guy in for an epidural. And when they brought him in, they were like explaining to me, like, you know, you have to, like, basically, like, I can't even, like, I can remember, but I can't remember. Like, you know, stay still, and like I had to hold a pillow and you know, like not move, because you know, you can, if you move the wrong way, you can be paralyzed for the rest of your life, or something traumatic can happen to you. So I'm like sitting there with the pillow, and I'm just praying again, like I'm just talking to God, talking to the Lord, telling him, like, you know, just be with me, help me to get through this process, give me peace. That's the main thing that I was asking for, was peace. Because if anyone knows me personally, I'm like a hypochondriac. Like I'm always like, ah, ah. I always cry about everything. So I was just asking God for peace, and the nurse was like hugging me, like at the same time I had a pillow, and then like she was hugging me, and then like they stuck the thing upside, like the needle up my back. And the guy was really nice, and he like encouraged me after. He was like, you did such a phenomenal job, like thank you, you know, you did such an amazing job, like I'm so happy for you. And I was like, okay, you know, whatever, like okay, again, I'm ready to get my baby out, like thank you so much for your, you know, encouragement, but I'm ready to get her out. So then after that, they did the epidural, and then like I waited a few minutes, and then literally it was just time to push. So they were telling me, I kept telling them, I was like, girl, I gotta poop, like I feel like I'm about to boo-boo on myself. And at this point, I didn't even care if I was about to boo-boo on myself, because I was just ready to get my baby out of me. And they're like, okay, well, when it feels like you have to poop, that's when it's time to push. So every time I felt like I had to poop, that was when I was getting a contraction. And obviously, like I couldn't feel the contractions because of the medication. And so I like immediately just started pushing. And then I kept pushing, and then my mom and the nurse were like, okay, like we see the baby's head. And I was like, oh my gosh. Mom was like, she has a head full of hair, mija. And I'm like, oh my gosh. I'm like, I'm crying, because I'm like, okay, my baby got hair, like I'm so excited. And then so like I kept pushing, and then she was okay, well, you know, your doctor is gonna come in soon. And I had a specific doctor. I have Kaiser, so my Kaiser doctor came over to the hospital where I delivered, and so we had to wait for her to come, because she was doing a cesarean right before me. Is it I think it's called that. Anyways, so she the doctor finally came in, like once like the baby's head was like about to come out, and literally like the doctor came in, I think I pushed like a couple more times, and my baby came. And so literally I was a total like of pushing, I was only 40 minutes. I delivered my baby girl at 11:59, and I was total in labor for only 8 hours, but it seemed like I was in labor for maybe like a couple hours, because I was at home for a majority of the like first part of my labor. So I didn't really like, you know, it really didn't seem like that long. And so I thank God for my mom for actually keeping me home, and not like allowing me to be like, you know, like when I had the first contraction, for me to just go to the hospital, because I would have been waiting forever. So yeah, so after I kept like, you know, pushed a couple more times, my baby girl came. And oh my gosh, you guys, like as soon as she came out, she was just staring at me, like her eyes were like as big as mine, and she just was looking at me, and I'm just like still looking at her like, you belong to me, like this is you're my baby. Like I was just still like in like shock. And so they, you know, gave me her, put her on my chest, and just looking at her, I was just like, wow. Like to this day I call her baby Jesus, because I'm like, she's sent from him. And so they put her on my chest, and like, you know, we're having a little bonding moment, and we're like oohs and ahs, and like, oh my gosh. And so they took her away from me for like less than like 5 minutes to like, you know, get her weight and height and all that stuff right next to me, to get like her weight and height and stuff like right next to me. And then they gave her right back to me. And it was just, this is like where the phenomenal part is for me, is because they gave her right back to me, you guys. And I had my baby girl the whole entire time I was in the hospital. I was only there for 24 hours, and then I went home basically the next day at about 2 o'clock. And what was so breathtaking about the whole situation is the fact that all of the nurses, during the time that I was at the hospital, I had about like probably 40 nurses that I like kept coming in my room, different nurses and stuff like that, coming in to check on me. And it was just awesome, because all of them kept encouraging me, like, you did so good. Like, you know, so many young ladies that come in here, young ladies, older ladies, all different age groups of women, go through different stuff. Some women are in labor for 3 days, 4 days, 5 days. Like, some women can't push correctly. Some women have to actually have a C-section, and some, women's babies are taken away from them and they have to go to the NICU. And it just was extraordinary because literally right after I had her, we were together the entire time I was in the hospital. I did not have to leave her, not 1 minute. She didn't have to leave me. We were together the entire time. And again, I just give all praise to God himself, because if it wasn't for him, like, I don't know what I would do. You know what I mean? Like, I literally prayed my entire pregnancy, and I continued to, just seek after him and ask him for direction, ask him for peace, because I just, again, I went through so much in my pregnancy with being emotional, feeling like I didn't know what I wanted to do in the beginning of my pregnancy, and then only for me to have just a beautiful delivery, like beautiful, like literally it was a dream. She, again, came, she didn't have anything wrong with her. She was just perfect. You know what I mean? And I've never been able to meet a perfect person, like flesh. You know what I mean? Like, I have my perfect father in Christ, but I've never been able to meet someone perfect in human form. And so again, we went to they took us to our room, and we, bonded, and I was able to, I'm breastfeeding. So that was another thing too I was concerned about, because I didn't have any milk come out like a few days or anything before I gave birth. So I was kind of getting anxious about that. Like, I don't want to give her formula. I want to give her, breast milk. So I was nervous that I wasn't going to have any breast milk, and God just literally was like, shoop, and like literally my boobs just immediately had milk in them. And so she latched on immediately. I didn't have any problems with her latching. They were like, she has to have this certain amount of poop before she has to poop once before she can leave, and just make sure she's going pee and this and the other. And my baby girl was peeing perfectly fine. She pooped, and we were out of the hospital the next day. And again, it just was so phenomenal, because I was constantly apologizing to my baby while she was in my stomach, and just saying, baby girl, I'm sorry, for crying, because I constantly cried my entire pregnancy. And I'm just thankful to God that he allowed me to have just a beautiful, beautiful delivery. And we came home, and it's just been phenomenal every day to just, see her grow, and to just see her, see a little me. Like, it's awesome. So I'm so thankful, and that is my pregnancy story. I'm sorry if I was kind of talking fast in the beginning and then got slow and then fast, whatever. Like, I'm just, again, all I can say is I'm thankful that she's here, she's healthy. We've gone to two doctor's appointments since she's been born, and again, everything has just been perfectly fine. Like, they don't have any negative things to say, regarding her health, regarding her growth. Like, she's already gained 2.5 pounds since she's been born, and she's just phenomenal. She likes to literally eat, sleep, and poop and pee. Like, literally, that's all she does. And another extraordinary thing about my baby girl is the fact that she smiles literally from the time she wakes up. During her sleeping, she smiles all the time, and it's just phenomenal, because everyone that sees her so far, like the doctors and nurses and stuff like that, and sending pictures to people and FaceTiming people, because I haven't let anyone see her due to COVID and due to the fact that she's not seeing anyone until she's 6 weeks, is that she's always smiling, and people are like, oh my gosh, like, it's crazy how much she's constantly smiling. They're like, you must be doing a good job. I feel like my lips have been so chapped, but your girl ain't got no chapstick. So anyways, that's besides the point. But she she's just been like, she's been everything I needed. And it's so awesome, because I constantly told the Lord, like, you knew I needed my baby girl, and my baby girl needed me. Like, we were like a match made in heaven, because just the way, she'll be crying, and I'll go into the living room, and like my mom will have her, and my mom will like, she'll be calm, and she'll just get through eating or whatever, but she'll be whiny, and I'll just go and I'll pick her up, and she'll just like, just be all calm, and like just want to be underneath me. And it just makes me feel like, wow, like I'm really a mom. And anyone who's out there who is a mother or is becoming a mom or whatever the situation may be, like, we are very, very powerful. Like, to give birth to a human being is extraordinary. And don't allow any man to ever try to make you feel less than, or make you feel like you're not important, or make you feel like you ain't shit, excuse my French, but men will do that to us. They will dictate our thoughts and make us feel like we're less than. And we just have to continue to push forward and know that, you know, we are powerful to give birth to human. Like what God does to our body during 9 months and creates this human being, like her coming out and looking at her fingers and her toes and like looking at her head, and just her body is, the way God forms it is just like, wow, like it's deep. But anyways, thank you for watching. I feel like I'm going on and on and on. Thank you for watching. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. And please share my video and stay tuned for more videos. All right, thank you. Bye.